Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Date Fright. I don't know if you guys can tell, but we actually got another mic now, so it doesn't sound
We sound
quite so bad.
better now. Hence the long hiatus.
We can actually both speak at the same time, so that's kind of cool.
Yes.
Also, a huge cause for the hiatus is laziness.
Yeah,
And,
that's real.
Kicks ass sometimes, you know?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, but
It's okay. It's August now, so we're in the spooky mood.
yeah, we're feeling spooky again.
Yep, we're
Spooky time.
feeling like it's fall. It's not. It's
We're
like
wanting
100
it to be.
degrees.
Desperately wanting it to be.
Yep.
All right.
We're drinking
So-
our hot drinks.
Yeah, we've got our hot chocolates right here.
Yep, our
coffees.
fake hot chocolate. And we have a scary story for you.
We do have a scary story. So today's episode, I'm going to be telling Leonna about a case that has been interesting to me. I actually found out about recently. I had never heard of this. As a connoisseur of true crime, I had never heard of this case. This is right up my alley. I love the Pacific Northwest, love spooky forest serial killer stuff.
Ooh, okay.
So in today's episode, so kind of how it works is that Leonna will bring a case to me, or I'll bring a case to her.
Mhm.
The other person doesn't know beforehand about the case or that we're doing it. So you
No.
kind of react along with us.
And I have
um,
no idea what Quinn's got for me today.
No idea.
It's not a
been
Bundy,
secretive.
is it?
It is not a Bundy.
Ooh, Pacific Northwest and serial killer.
It's not Bundy.
Ooh,
That's what's going to be fun about today.
I
is
can't
that
wait.
We can kind of talk about twists and turns of this case. When I was reading about this the first time, I was like, how is this not a more popular case? It's fascinating. I guess we can just jump into it.
Yeah.
You ready?
I'm ready. Are you
Okay.
ready?
You ready to be spooked?
I'm ready to be so scared.
Okay.
Haunt me.
Today's case is called the Mineral Washington Murders or the Tube Sock Killings.
What?
Yep, that's what the official name is.
I don't think I've ever heard of this.
There's a quote from this that I will get to really quickly that you might have heard before.
Okay.
It is haunting. Spooky. Okay. On the morning of December 12th, 1985, a family of 3 from Tacoma, Washington, headed out for a camping trip. 36-year-old Mike Reamer, his 21-year-old girlfriend, Diana Robertson, and their 2-year-old daughter, Crystal, loaded up their red Plymouth pickup truck and drove to their camping spot along the beautiful Nisqually River, where Mike, an avid outdoorsman and animal trapper, had set up some lures and traps, while also hoping that during this trip the family could find a Christmas tree.
Aw.
Pretty cute, right?
Yeah, no, it's not going to be cute for long, is it?
We'll see.
Later
that evening, in Spanaway, Washington, customers at a local Kmart found a little girl standing outside of the store's entrance. When asked what her name was and where her parents were, the child would only say, "Mommy was in the trees." That's all that she could say.
What?
Mommy was in the trees,
Oh, no.
which is haunted me ever since.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
That is so scary.
Yeah.
How old was she?
2 years old.
2 years old?
Tiny little girl.
Mommy was in the trees.
Local
Okay.
police were called, and when they questioned the little girl about who she was or how she had gotten there, she was so visibly shaken and disoriented that she was not able to provide any useful information due to being so young and seemingly so disturbed.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Fair
Cute
enough.
little girl. She was placed in temporary foster care, and after local news stations aired a picture of the girl, her terrified maternal grandmother contacted authorities and was able to bring her home. After identifying information from the grandmother was given to police, a massive search was organized for Crystal's parents, and finally, after 2 months, on February 18th, 1986, a dog walker found the body of Diana Robertson,
Oh.
partially buried in a snowdrift off of a logging road in Elbe, Washington.
Oh.
She had been stabbed 17 times and strangely had a knee-high white tube sock tied around her neck.
Excuse me?
Her boyfriend, Mike Reamer's red pickup truck, was discovered nearby, but there was no sign of Mike. On the dashboard of the truck was a manila envelope with the words, "I love you, Diana," written in what would later be said by Diana's mother, appeared to be in Mike's handwriting.
But where's Mike?
Where's Mike? That's the question.
Excuse me?
Along the seats of the truck were bloodstains, and bullet casings were scattered on the ground outside the truck. Interesting that there were bullet casings around the outside of the truck when she was stabbed 17 times to death.
Yeah, what's that about?
Right.
Is it like defensive?
Exactly.
Interesting.
Who knows? Due to what was viewed as obvious signs of a murder of passion, investigators began to immediately suspect that Mike had killed Diana, then abandoned his daughter Crystal at the Kmart and fled the area.
Is it obvious? I'm already sus.
Right. Initial impressions.
I'm already suspicious of this.
Yep.
She was stabbed to death, but there's bullet casings. I'm not buying it.
Right.
Do better.
After the discovery of the records that Mike had been charged with domestic assault in October of that same year against his girlfriend and was known to open carry a .22 caliber handgun when out checking his traps, he became the prime suspect.
Okay, well, that's not looking good for Mike.
No.
At all.
It definitely does not look good for Mike.
That's also not cool, Mike.
No.
Don't do that, Mike.
Don't do that, Mike. But, chillingly, after the strange addition of the tube sock that had been found tied around Diana Robertson's neck, her death was now not considered just a horrific crime of passion committed in a romantic spat. It had now become the latest in a spiraling case of what police now had no other choice but to consider serial killings. In the months prior to the family's vanishing, police had been investigating the murders of 27-year-old Stephen Harkins and his 42-year-old girlfriend Ruth Cooper, also from Tacoma, who earlier in the same year on August 10th had gone out with their dog to the remote area of Toole Lake in Pierce County for a weekend camping trip. And a similar situation.
Yeah.
What happened to these two is still to this day not entirely known, but after not showing up for their jobs at a local vocational school the following Monday, their concerned families contacted authorities and reported them missing.
Both of them?
Both of them.
Interesting. Okay.
Later that week, on August 14th, after they had disappeared, hikers came across the body of Stephen Harkins, still lying in his sleeping bag at their campsite. He had been shot in the head. Not far away, the body of the couple's dog, who had also been shot, was found.
No.
Ruth was missing. Kind of a similar situation to the last one.
Right.
One of the spouses missing, one is found dead.
And someone was shot. We had bullet casings.
In the first one, she was not shot.
She was not shot.
She was stabbed 17 times.
There were casings found.
But there were casings found.
And there's evidence of this guy being shot.
Yes. Months later, in October of 1985, the skull of Ruth Cooper was discovered near Hearts Lake, a little less than 1.5 miles from where their campsite had been.
Oh.
A knee-high white tube sock was found tied around her neck.
What?
2 days later, the rest of her body and belongings were found 50 feet away from her skull. The weapon that fired these bullets was believed to be a .22 caliber handgun. The same kind that Mike carried.
Mike had.
Exactly.
So maybe it wasn't Mike after all.
At the time, or maybe it was.
Or maybe it was.
Same gun, same weapon. At the time, due to the placement of the tube sock, police initially suspected strangulation as the cause of death, but were shocked when results from the autopsy had shown that a gunshot wound to the abdomen had actually been the cause of death, and the sock had likely been placed posthumously.
Oh.
But this was not the end of the strangeness of this case. To add another layer to the mystery, the murders of Stephen Harkins and Ruth Cooper at the time of the discovery of the Diana Robertson murder were also connected by authorities to another set of double homicides that had happened earlier in March of the same year. So this is all taking place in 1985.
Interesting.
One in December, one in August, and one in March.
Okay.
Ruth's body was found in October.
Right.
That's an important note.
Yes.
A couple months after. Edward Smith and his fiancée Kimberly Levine, in a continuing pattern, had also set out together as a weekend camping trip to nearby Grant County. So all of these places are very close together. The
All
body,
forest.
all beautiful Pacific Northwest forest.
Oh.
The body of Edward was found in a gravel pit near the Wanapum Dam. His hands had been tied behind his back, and his throat had been slit. 2 weeks after, the couple's car was found 10 miles away, and Kimberly Levine was missing.
None of this seems like a very, like, consistent MO.
Right.
This is all very chaotic.
All three, well, I guess two have
Knives.
uses knives.
You have
as the cause
some
of death.
gun, but the throat slit. You got the tube sock.
One of the partners is always missing.
One of the partners is always missing. But it just seems like maybe they don't have like a specific way that they kill
Right.
necessarily.
Right.
But they have like a calling card
right.
that they want to leave.
One is stabbed 17 times. The next is shot in the head.
Yeah.
The next one is shot in the abdomen. The man Edward, had his throat slit. And months later in August, the same time of the murders of Stephen Hawkins and Ruth Cooper, the body of Kimberly Levine was found lying in sagebrush about 2 miles away from where Edward was found.
Oh my god.
So a continuing pattern of taking the bodies about 2 miles away and having it be separate.
Right.
A fingerprint, in this case, had been found in the couple's vehicle that would lead directly to a monster named Billy Ray Ballard Jr., who was already actually held in custody and had been arrested for kidnapping, raping, and torturing 2 women in Wyoming.
Oh no.
Ballard eventually confessed to the murder of Edward Smith and Kimberly Levine, and while the crimes were similar in nature to the murders of the other couples, there were also glaring differences.
Right.
Enough so that authorities considered it unlikely that Ballard was responsible for the other double homicides that took place in the same area and had corresponding dates. The difference was there was no tube sock in that situation. The other two do. So that is a confusing aspect to this.
Yeah.
And also, he would never admit to the murders of the others.
But
So
he admitted to the other ones.
He did eventually confess to the murder of Edward Smith and Kimberly Levine.
Okay. That is really fascinating.
It
And
is.
those were the only two without the tube sock.
Yes. So
Okay.
this would leave, with Ballard removed, this would leave the only other suspect to be none other than our original suspect, Mike Reamer,
Mm-hmm.
a 36-year-old abuser who had apparently killed his 21-year-old girlfriend by stabbing her 17 times, while he was known to be carrying a .22 caliber handgun, the same weapon that authorities believed that he had used previously to kill 2 other people.
But why suddenly?
Why switch it up when you have the weapon on you?
Right.
It's interesting.
And what with the tube sock?
Right.
That's so weird. Oh, okay. Continue. Sorry.
The authorities, who had believed that he had previously killed 2 other people with the handgun, then drove over 30 miles to a Kmart to abandon his 2-year-old daughter, then drove back to the site of his girlfriend's murder, then wrote a final message to Diana, left his truck at the scene of the crime, and then proceeded to fall off the face of the earth. Further investigation into this is actually a really interesting aspect, so this is an important part. Further investigation into Mike's whereabouts produced nothing but a strange testimony by Mike's father, stating that on the morning of the murder of Diana Robertson, Mike and his daughter Crystal had shown up to his home without Diana.
What?
Mike in a large winter coat, Crystal in a small windbreaker,
What?
in freezing cold temperatures in
Excuse me?
December. Strange.
That's suspicious.
After eating breakfast, Mike had told his father that he had to leave and check his traps, then left with Crystal. This was the last time he would be seen.
What the
Strange,
hell?
right?
What the hell?
Showing up with your daughter
Uh-huh.
without Diana
Yeah.
to your father's house,
And then claiming that
then claiming that you have to go check your traps and leaving. That's
Right.
the only thing he would say. Police thoroughly investigated the surrounding areas with no sign of Mike Reamer. No testimony of seeing him pass through other towns, no credible testimony of him appearing elsewhere in the county. He had simply completely disappeared. Authorities continued to search for any and all signs of Mike Reamer, and for over 2 decades, the case gathered dust,
Are you
then became cold.
serious?
Yes. Finally, years later, in March of 2011, Hikers found the partial remains of a skull very close to where the body of Diana Robertson's body had been found. Dental
Excuse me?
forensics determined that the skull was in fact Mike Reamer.
Nobody found a body.
We'll get to that.
What?
We'll get to that. So the partial remains of a skull were found. It
Yeah.
was confirmed to be Mike Reamer.
Okay.
Initial impressions of the scene, as it seemed to some investigators, was that after murdering his girlfriend, Mike had taken his own life, and police were initially satisfied that they had found the serial killer responsible for the killings of multiple couples in the area.
Mm-hmm.
To others, not so much.
Right.
There had been a group of investigators from the beginning of the case that had held doubts as to the exact nature of Mike's disappearance. They were not certain that he himself had not been a victim of the same unknown assailant.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Right. So even
How
at the
do we
beginning
know?
of this, there was split thought on this.
Even if, like, say,
Consensus was that it was Mike who did it, but this is where it gets fascinating.
okay.
After continued deep searching of the surrounding area, strangely, the remainder of Mike's body could not be found. If you remember in the other cases, the body of Ruth was found with her head in one area and her body 50 meters away. That had happened
Right.
already in the previous case. So
Right.
when investigators saw that they found a head with no body,
Yeah.
they connected the two. It's the same
Right.
kind of MO.
I
One
mean,
person is killed at the scene of the crime, then the other is
someone's
taken away.
away. And how much of that, I wonder, was that like the killer, or it's a wooded area, forest, there's lots of animals,
Right.
and so that can be a contributing factor.
Right. So that was also a school of thought there. But
Okay.
after continued deep searching of the surrounding area, strangely, the remainder of Mike's body could not be found. Mike's skull had been found with a tree growing around it and through it.
What?
It had been that much time, which would indicate that if Mike had committed suicide, the body would have been there alongside it at the scene of the crime.
Yes.
It was preserved by a tree growing through it. If he had committed suicide, his body would be attached.
Wait,
To a
wouldn't they
skull.
have seen it? Wouldn't while they were doing searches of
Right. It was found nearby. So his skull without his body was found,
Yeah. So he must have come back at some point.
or he never left.
Or he never. Yeah. What is this? Oh my gosh.
Further examination of the skull was able to determine that he had not been shot in the head.
Okay.
And due to the lack of any other physical evidence, the exact cause of death could not be determined.
Ugh.
So that is what's interesting about this, is if he had committed suicide, right?
Mhm.
Why was his body not with his skull? There's an
Right.
animal situation that you could say where if he killed himself in animals,
Maybe an animal took his skull,
But-
brought it back to the area of the crime. That's a huge coincidence.
right, but
You know.
just the skull was left?
Right. But
doesn't
I'm
make any
saying, like,
sense.
maybe if his body was taken miles and miles away, and for some unknown reason an animal picked up his skull and brought it back to nearby the scene of the crime,
Right,
that would have to be a huge coincidence.
right, exactly.
This is
Exactly.
crazy.
Also, if you are going to kill yourself and you have a .22 caliber gun,
Yeah.
you're not going to shoot yourself in the head?
Right. Anywhere else you might just
You're going to do it Romeo style and just...
miserably bleed out and die. That's morbid, but
Right, but what's also interesting is that Ruth was also not shot in the head.
she was not shot.
She was shot in the abdomen. And in this case, they couldn't find his body to confirm that.
Right.
His body was missing. And in Ruth's case, they found her skull first and then her body after, and her body had the gunshot wound that they were able to find the cause of death. In this case, they could never find his body.
Oh my God.
So that is why there's speculation there. After this evidence had been brought to light, the majority of investigators now believed that Mike Reamer was not the infamous tube sock killer
Yeah, I'm not
and,
convinced.
and was in fact another victim of homicide
Mhm.
by the same unknown assailant.
Not a great guy,
Not a great guy,
but probably not the killer.
maybe not the killer.
Yeah.
It's believed now that Mike Reamer, the prime suspect for decades, had been murdered alongside his girlfriend Diana Robertson,
Yeah.
which makes the bullet casings outside of the truck interesting
It does make that interesting.
because it makes you wonder if they were attacked
Yes.
and he used his weapon, was still killed, maybe shot himself.
Mm-hmm.
Bullets were used. The assailant ran out and then had to resort to using a knife.
Right.
That's a school of thought. But
Or,
here, this is kind of where we get stuck, is that here after 14 years, the case has stood, dividing investigators, the local populace, and people across the world who have followed the case alike. Some saying that the evidence proves the innocence of Mark Reamer. To some, this evidence, or lack of, are not convinced of his innocence.
yeah, it kind of doesn't really like necessarily prove or deny like anything.
It's not
Not conclusive at all.
Exactly. But for decades, the one question that has continued to haunt all parties involved remains: if not Mike, the man who is known to be a violent abuser,
Mm-hmm.
who carried the same type of weapon that had been used to kill another couple in the same area earlier that same year,
Yeah.
who had deep knowledge of the area and frequented it thoroughly, then who?
Right.
If not her father, who, after killing Crystal's parents, and instead of simply killing the young girl, then abducted her, then drove with her for 45 minutes to drop her off in a very public location at a local Kmart, then who?
I mean, you could argue, right, that maybe this serial killer has some moral code, right? That they're not going to kill a child, that they are just going to take that child somewhere that they can be found.
Which is
It's
interesting.
a 2-year-old child. They don't think they've witnessed enough.
It's a psychological experiment because this person, if it's an innocence issue,
Mhm.
where they view a couple as some kind of evil that they're eradicating, you know,
Right.
however people's minds work in this, would then kill a dog?
Right.
That's where it's so
The
interesting.
dog
is
is interesting.
the killer had no qualms about killing an innocent animal. Maybe it was barking, maybe it was loud.
Maybe.
Maybe Crystal, he just felt was so young that, or he or she was so young that they wouldn't be able to do it. But
Yeah, this is
you're
weird.
a cold-blooded murderer who has no problem literally dissecting people. You're a monster.
Allegedly dissecting people.
Why would they just abandon someone who could very likely identify them?
Right.
Unless, of course, we have no visual on this person at all.
Right.
Maybe they were wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Unless they knew they couldn't be identified and they just didn't want to kill a child. Maybe they themselves were a parent.
Maybe.
And that's just the one boundary, because you hear oftentimes about like serial killers in the beginning, they do torture and kill animals sometimes.
Right.
And so maybe that's not an issue for them, but
It's just the
children are off
child.
limits.
Yeah, maybe.
And you know,
Yeah.
like
It's psychosis.
you
Like-
can't pretend to understand what these people are thinking.
Right, exactly.
There's no rationalizing with, you know, the mental state.
No.
This is so wild, though.
Some do use the survival of Crystal as the key evidence of Mike Reamer's guilt.
Interesting.
Some point to her survival as the evidence of the continued MO of an unknown serial killer, though.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who would murder in cold blood multiple innocent couples, an innocent animal, but not a child.
Right.
Like you said.
Yeah.
Police largely regard Mike as a victim, with that leaving the only other option to be that to this day, an infamous serial killer responsible for the deaths of young families in the forests of the Pacific Northwest is still walking free of these crimes.
Mm-hmm.
The case of the Tubesot killings is still to this day unsolved.
That is crazy. And there was never any other like crimes that seemed linked to this after those ones.
It's really fascinating you say that. That is literally my next bit of information
Okay,
on
I love
this.
that.
Is that that's the end of what we know now.
Yeah.
That's the end of this case's information. What we're going to do now is that we're actually going to move on to speculation. So
Okay.
there is actually a couple different speculative areas of this case that people have moved into. And I'd like to move through
I
those with you.
love that.
You, obviously, because you're so analytical, you picked apart many of what people would have already kind of seen as holes in the case.
Yeah.
Issues where it's like, well, that's not explained. You have an incredible mind, so you already
I love
work through
dissecting these things.
But first off, we're actually going to jump into something that you just barely mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
For those who do continue to believe that Mike Reamer was in fact guilty of these murders, strangely, in November of 1987, another double murder took place 2 years after what many believe to be the official tube sock murders. So this is speculation. 22-year-old Jay Cook and his 18-year-old girlfriend Tanya Van Coilenborg were on a trip south from Canada on an errand for Tanya's dad. Days later, Tanya's body was found bound in a ditch near Alger. She had been raped and shot in the head.
What?
The body of Jay Cook was found 60 miles from where Tanya's body had been discovered. He had been beaten with rocks and had been strangled. The perpetrator of this crime was also never found until, in 2018, through a genealogical DNA match, William Earl Tabbitt II, a truck driver who had been known to frequent the areas of the tube sock murders, would be found guilty of the murders of Cook and Coilenborg. He is currently serving 2 life sentences at Washington State Penitentiary, and unfortunately, as of writing this, it is not currently known whether Talbot had any connections to the tube sock killings. But
Truck driver is interesting.
Truck driver who frequented the area.
Yep.
2 years after, one person was shot in the head.
Yep.
The difference in this case was that the woman was raped.
Right, and that didn't happen before.
That didn't happen in the other
We
two.
didn't hear about like sexual assault or anything like that before.
No tube sock.
Yeah.
But the man was beaten and strangled to death.
So it makes
so there
you
is
question.
a connection of some kind.
It makes you question if the tube sock was like an early on thing.
I wonder if
Something he was trying out and dropped.
I wonder if they thought that going out and buying tube socks would be a little bit of a tell.
Right.
Earlier before they said that the tube sock was not actually used to strangle. It was placed posthumously.
Right.
So in this case, someone was strangled. I wonder if in this particular situation, it's psychosis, obviously. It's not like super planned, seemingly. The person was strangled. The interesting aspect of these cases for me is how perfectly aligned every discovery and the bodies that were found were perfectly matched up to the exact same times that another person was killed.
Right.
In the case of Stephen and Ruth, Stephen was killed and was found that same week, a couple days later.
Yeah.
Ruth was not found for months. Her skull was found first, and 50 feet away, her body was found. So months later, her skull was found and then her body.
Yeah.
Right? In this case, it was months after their disappearance, but they were able to find Diana.
Mm-hmm.
Years later, in this case, 2011, it was decades later, they found the skull of Mike, and they never found his body.
Right.
So that is seemingly a continuing process there. In this case, this person committed this crime in 1987.
Mm-hmm.
Talbot, who was found guilty for this, committed the crime in 1987. The difference was, in this case, that there was no decapitation.
Yeah.
Which was a similar theme from before. There was no tube sock. And it was kind of a different situation.
Yeah, it seems a little bit different. I'm not fully convinced on this either.
Right. A lot of people aren't super convinced. It is similar. It is a couple killing.
Yeah.
Double homicide. One person shot in the head, the other person strangled.
Yeah.
So there is some similarities, but people aren't sure.
There's coincidences. Who knows?
Unfortunately, there has been no confession, and right now there is no known connections. Since 2011, there have been no other further developments, and authorities are still unsure as to who truly killed Diana Robertson, Mike Reamer, Ruth Cooper, their poor dog, and Stephen Harkins. Or, chillingly, if these poor people are just the known victims of this unknown killer or killers, and more are still yet to be connected and found.
I'm wondering if there was any more like active serial killers at the time.
There were a lot.
And that's the thing, is you never know if there was cross.
The late 80s in the Pacific Northwest.
Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
If there was like cross, I I just looked up. I was like, who was out there? You
There's a
know,
lot. Yeah.
looking it up just to see. And it's like, you have so many that you could have had. Yeah.
I mean, in this particular case alone, there were potentially 3 different killers.
Right.
3 different sets of killings.
Yeah.
And that's only if you consider Mike to be innocent. There are some people, the part of this case that is the most interesting to me, because I tend to lean towards the side that I think Mike was killed rather than he committed suicide.
Was. Yeah.
The hard part about it is the entire situation with Crystal.
That is the weirdest thing.
It is really, really strange.
Uh-huh.
And what's really fascinating to me about this is that if maybe it's a child thing, because she was 2 years old, maybe the killer just had no interest in killing a child.
And the whole mommy was in the trees line.
Mommy was in the trees.
That doesn't make much sense to me either.
What does that even mean?
What does that mean?
And unfortunately, I looked up, information about Crystal after the fact, and then she has no recollection.
Yeah. She wouldn't. I mean,
she was obviously, horribly scarred by this, but
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is such a fascinating one, because it's like, I haven't heard of any other serial killers at the time that sound like this.
Right. It's kind of in a sweet spot, in a kind of a horrible way to put that, but it's kind of in a sweet spot where it's like, potentially there were 4 killings.
Yeah.
2 couples.
Yeah.
That is serial killing, but it's not like this person went on a huge spree.
Right.
They were never found.
Right.
So it's not like, or maybe they're in prison already.
Who knows?
There's so many elements to this that we don't know. No one's confessed to it. There have been no genealogical evidence come up for this person. There are a lot of people who still believe that it was Mike.
Right.
Because of dropping the Crystal off. The one thing that I had with that I thought was interesting was Mike and Crystal showed up to his father's house without Diana, right? That happened. If he had already killed Diana,
why would he abandon his daughter?
Why would he not just leave his daughter there with his father?
Right.
If he wasn't going to kill her, and he drove her all the way to the Kmart and dropped her off there.
Right.
In that circumstance, if you were going to go back to the scene of the crime and commit suicide, right?
Why would you not just leave her?
And you care about your daughter, why would you drive out of the way to a random Kmart, drop your daughter off in some random Kmart parking lot, and then go back and commit suicide when you could just go to your father?
Also, it seems like there was killings that happened. If he wouldn't have gone and committed suicide then, because there was killings that happened after the fact, right?
No.
Oh, it was they had bodies were found after.
Yes, Mike is considered the last
one,
the last victim
technically. Okay,
that they know of. Dang. And so there's also people who think that is also evidence against Mike, that because when he died there were no other tube sock killings.
This is so weird.
But it's just fascinating, the whole aspect with Crystal. She's kind of the unfortunate linchpin of this situation, is that if you were willing to murder your girlfriend, if you were in that state, and you were also, at the same time, a violent abuser who his girlfriend and daughter were apparently afraid of him.
Yeah.
You had just killed people a couple months prior.
Your daughter's probably going to say something.
Well, not just that, but it's also like, then you're just going to spare your daughter?
Right.
You have no qualms about killing random other people, your girlfriend, innocent animals, but your daughter, you're going to take her to some random spot and drop her off in a parking lot. When earlier that same day, if you had killed Diana before, why would you not just leave her, say, hey, can I leave Crystal with you I have to go do something?
Yeah.
And then if you care about your daughter enough to not kill her.
Yeah, that just seems weird to abandon her.
Her instead of taking her to, or just leaving her at her father's, at his father's.
Yeah, I don't get it.
So I'm really conflicted with Mike.
I'm conflicted with Mike too.
I'm almost 50-50 with him, because there's a huge part of me that thinks that he probably did do it, And then it just doesn't really add up.
He could have, but it's like, it just seems so weird that there was no evidence of anyone being shot at that crime scene, but his shell casings were at the crime scene.
Exactly. So
to me, that doesn't scream like, unless he was shooting at her, but she was in the car.
Also, the interesting part about that is if you do consider that Mike was the killer in this case, but Ballard didn't commit all of them.
Yeah.
If you think that it was just Mike that did this, Ballard would then have had to admit to a murder he didn't commit.
Right.
And also in the other case, that was the case where Stephen was killed by using a knife to the throat.
Yes.
There were no other instances of a knife being used except on Diana, who was stabbed 17 times.
Yes.
Which is a completely different mode of killing.
Unless this person just uses whatever they have on hand and whatever they can get access to.
But what's so weird to me about it is that if Mike, the bullet casing's outside of his truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Mike killed his girlfriend with a knife
mm-hmm.
while having a weapon that he had previously used to kill other people,
yes.
Why were there bullet casings?
Right.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. And you know what? It also,
It feels almost defensive.
That's what I thought.
The other aspect, though, that works against that is, what about the note?
What about the note?
It's like there's perfectly evidence on both sides. And it's
so
really
dichotomous.
hard to parse through.
But is the note technically evidence against him?
The only person that ever confirmed that it was actually his handwriting was her mom, and she believed it to be. It was Diana's mom that believed it to be Mike's handwriting.
Right. Didn't it just say that he loved her?
It said, "I love you, Diana."
Then that doesn't necessarily mean anything. That doesn't mean anything.
They're not even sure if it was Mike who wrote it. It was found in his car.
It wasn't his own parent confirming it. It wasn't. They didn't do a handwriting analysis. I have questions for the officers on this one.
It feels to me, I mean, obviously there's holes in this, but like there's blood stains in the seat of the truck,
mm-hmm.
right? Diana was found outside of the truck with 17 stab wounds.
Yeah.
She died from them. The really hard thing about this is that Mike's body was never found.
Yeah, you have no idea.
But there was a ton of bullet casings outside of the truck.
Yeah.
Found in the truck and outside of the truck. And there's blood stains in the truck. But she was stabbed and Mike's body was never found.
Right.
So it feels almost like, to me, that the course of action could have been that they were found. Maybe they were split up in different areas, looking for traps maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Diana is killed. She is found close to the truck and killed. Crystal and Mike were not there at the time because Crystal says Mommy was in the trees. That might have been the last time that they saw her.
It might have been.
Mike comes back with Crystal. Mike sees Diana and the killer, fires his .22, misses somehow.
Yeah.
The killer then kills Mike, and Crystal is found after by the killer. The killer realizes that they don't want to kill a child.
Right.
And so the hard thing here is we don't know what she was dropped off in. There's no security cameras.
Right.
There's no eyewitnesses for it.
There's no way to know.
We don't know if it was Mike's truck that was taken to drop her off, or if the assailant had a vehicle and took her from there, dropped her off, and fled the scene.
Well, and another route you could even go with it is if there was blood stains in the truck, right?
Yeah.
They could have been out, doing traps or whatever. Notable moment is that Mommy was in the trees.
Right.
And maybe it's nothing nefarious, right? It's just a moment that happened during.
It was the last time she saw her, maybe.
Maybe,
Yeah.
or it was just the last moment before things kind of got scary.
Right.
Maybe Diana and Mike got into a fight in the car.
Right.
And maybe she grabs his gun outside of the truck and tries to shoot him. And he stabs her. Like, he stabbed her in the truck. You never know.
That she misses trying to kill him, though, right?
Right. Like, maybe he stabbed her in the truck. There's blood in the truck. She grabs his gun. They get out. They have a brawl. There's shell casings found.
Right.
But I'm having a hard time because, like, was
for
there
him to drive
gunshot powder, like, residue on anybody's hands? It's
None.
like there's weeks between
and Mike's
finding
body was
bodies.
never found.
Yeah. It's
What's
like,
also, I thought about that too in that regard, where it's
Right.
like, if that was the case where Crystal had only seen her mother in the trees,
yeah.
she was doing her own thing.
But then, like, who brought her back?
Exactly. And also, if, let's say, Diana was in danger and Mike was trying to kill her,
Mm-hmm.
she shoots Mike or tries to kill him.
Yeah.
There's multiple bullet casings, so she'd have to miss multiple times at close range.
Yeah.
She is then stabbed to death. And let's consider that there are, if she gets outside of the truck and there's blood stains on the inside of the truck,
Yeah.
then that doesn't make a ton of sense in that regard, because it's like, if she was killed in the truck, stabbed 17 times, would she then try to get out of the truck and leave?
Unless he stabbed her once.
Unless he stabbed her once and then
She
went
grabs the
back.
gun. They get out. They fight. She tries to shoot him. Is unsuccessful. He stabs her 17 times.
Right.
And then freaks out, drives off, takes his daughter somewhere, drives back, commits suicide.
Commits suicide by shooting himself in the stomach?
Right. I know. It's like you can go down these paths and then something doesn't quite line up.
Right.
It's fascinating.
It really is.
This is an interesting one.
It really is. And it's food for thought.
It is. This is a cold case.
Yes, it is. This is one of the ones that is most interesting to me simply because of all the loose ends, all of the 50% evidence on both sides.
Yeah.
Because there's a huge part of you that is like, yeah, Mike kind of fits everything.
Yeah, Mike's a little sus.
Except for the 50% of evidence on the other side.
Right.
Fascinating. And you can see why it's a cold case. You can see why it was not solved. Hopefully, the best case is that it was William Earl Talbot. That was him, and he has been in jail. He is in jail. And, you know.
Hopefully.
It's a fascinating case, and it's incredibly sad.
Right. It's devastating because it's like we have no answers. Nobody knows. No development.
No developments.
Oh.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, what do you guys
We'd
think?
love to hear what you guys think about this. If we're missing pieces of evidence that have been found, if there's more information, please let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear. We'd love to speak to you guys about this because it's just so fascinating to
Leave
us.
us comments under the episode. You can send us emails even if you have any stories, local stories about it. If you know anybody.
If you were involved, that would be terrifying. But
like if you know anybody that knew them or.
Yeah, we'd love to hear what you guys think. If you guys want to see more of stuff like this, then let us know. Comment other cases you want us to cover. We love learning about this stuff. It's so fascinating to us.
Absolutely. We love like bringing light to these cases where people kind of don't talk about them. They deserve to have their stories told.
Crystal, if you're out there, if you are listening to this, I'm so sorry for what happened. You are an incredible person.
Yeah, this is.
We love you.
Yeah. My goodness.
Well, thank you guys for listening.
Yeah.
It was a really fun case. I can't wait to do the next one. Yeah. We're recording another one right after this.
We're back.
Get ready for more from us. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, do all that stuff. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.